For reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam is the very means of conquest, I first offer my respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayana, unto Nainarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed, practically to nil, and thus loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental hymns, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 6, Purusha Shukta confirmed, and I think it's text 27. Okay. Gatayo, Matayas, Chaiva, Gatayo, Matayas, Chaiva, Parayas Chittam, Samarpanam, Parayas Chittam, Samarpanam, Purusha, Avayave, Ete, let's see, Purusha, Purusha Vayave, Ete, Sambaraha, Sambrita, Maya, Sambara, Sambrita, Maya, Gataya, Gatayas Chaiva, Prayas Chittam Samarpanam, Purusha Vayave Ete, Sambara Sambrita Maya, Gataya, Matayaschaiva Prayaschitam Samapanam Purusha Varya Ete Sambara Samritamaya Gataya Matayaschaiva Prayaschitam Samapanam Purusha Vaya Ete Sambara Samritamaya. Gataya Matayaschaiva Prayaschitam Samapanam Purusha Vaya Ete Sambara Samritamaya. Gataya Matayaschaiva Prayaschitam Samapanam Purusha Vaya Ete Sambara Samritamaya. Gatiyaha Progress to the ultimate goal. Vishnu. Matayaha. Worshipping the demigod. Cha. Is also. Eva. Certainly. Parayaschitam. Compensation. Samapanam. Ultimate offering. Purusha. Personality of Godhead. Avayavai. From the parts of the body. Of the personality of Godhead. Ete. These. Sambaraha. The ingredient. Sambrita. Were arranged. Maya. By me. Translation. Please repeat. Thus I had to arrange. All these necessary ingredients. And paraphernalia of sacrifice. From the personal bodily parts. Of the personality of Godhead. By invocation of the demigods. Names. The ultimate goal. Vishnu. Was gradually attained. And thus compensation. And ultimate offering. Were complete. Lord Brahma speaking, thus I had to arrange all these necessary ingredients and paraphernalia of sacrifice from the bodily parts of the personality of Godhead. By invocation of the demigods' names, the ultimate goal, Vishnu, was gradually attained, and thus compensation and ultimate offering were complete. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In this verse, special stress is given to the person of the Supreme Lord, and not to the impersonal Brahma Jyoti, as being the source of all supplies. Narayana, the Supreme Lord, is the goal of sacrificial results, and therefore the Vedic hymns are ultimately meant for attaining this goal. Human life is thus made successful by pleasing Narayan and getting entrance into the direct association of Narayan in the spiritual kingdom of Vaikuntha. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the 27th sloka, 6th chapter, Purusha Sukta confirmed, Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, Om Agnati Mirandasya Gnanjana Shilakaya Takshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Raghunathanditam Tam Sajivam Sarvadutam Prajana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakan Vitams Cha He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagapate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustuti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pranamami Hari Priye Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. So here Srila Prabhupada is giving the emphasis in his purport that special stress is given to the person, the Supreme Lord, and not to his all-pervasive Brahma Jyoti or effulgence, as being the source of everything, of all supplies. And this is in relation to Lord Brahma. He's the father of everyone, everything. He's the engineer of the universe. Everything is created by him. Therefore, he's famously called the creator of the Hindu trilogy, Lord Vishnu being the maintainer and Lord Shiva the destroyer. But Brahma originates from the personality of Godhead, Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu, before Lord Vishnu, there was nothing. Everything comes from Sri Vishnu. So it is Vishnu who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And even Lord Brahma comes from him. And even Lord Shiva expands through the eyebrows, between the eyebrows of Lord Brahma. So, Brahma has to assemble all the ingredients And there's nothing to assemble them from, except apparently the universal form of the Lord. How he witnesses that or sees that, it's not exactly explained. In other places it's said that the Virat Rupa is a sort of imaginary form of the Lord. We know that all the material elements expand one after the other, each bringing about a certain sense and becoming a more complete form, and all the way to the earth and its fragrance. So apparently Brahma at that time of the creation, which is fairly early, he's assembling these things, and he speaking here in the Bhagavatam, he is saying that besides that the ultimate goal of life is Vishnu, and that he can be realized by chanting the names of the different devas who are representatives of him. That the parts of the Purusha, the parts of the Lord, he utilizes for the ingredients, were arranged by Brahma for the ingredients of sacrifice. So there's emphasis given to sacrifice here. Sacrifice is also stated, I think, in the 4th chapter of the Gita, the shortest verse in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says no one can be happy in this life or the next without the performance of sacrifice. And if we look around, we see that every man is sacrificing either for his family or his country, the world, or some perhaps his race, or for humanity in general, or maybe he's just sacrificing for his own satisfaction. But everyone is engaged in sacrifice. So there's a famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 9th chapter, wherein, that's not the one I thought. Oh, I'm looking at the Bhagavatam. It's in the Gita. It's in this 9th chapter, famous verse, wherein Lord Krishna says, Aham kratu, I am Vedic ritual. Aham jaga, I am sacrifice. Matroham, I am the mantras. Aham evajam, and I am certainly ajam, the melted butter. Aham agniya, I am the fire. And aham hutam, I am the offering. So this is Lord Chaitanya's philosophy. Chincha, inconceivable. Beta, the same. Chincha beta, abeta, different. Tattva, that the truth is simultaneously one and different. So everything is Vishnu. But Vishnu is not everything. Now, Vishnu is not me, Vishnu is not you. Vishnu is not the speaker, Vishnu is not the trees. Or I mean to say, Vishnu is everything. He is all of us, and he's all everything. But that tree, that speaker, you and me, we're not Vishnu. So there's the difference. The difference is that those parts and parcels of Vishnu are playing, in one sense, insignificant roles in his creation. Even, Brahma, although significant in one universe, is insignificant in the multitude of creation and time. But we play a role. And we are never Vishnu because we're not Vishnu. We don't create everything. We're just Vishnu's part and parcel. Prabhupada gives the analogy of the molecules of sunlight compared to the sun. they are the same as the sun, just like we are the same as Vishnu. You can break it down, you can analyze it scientifically, absolutely the same. Molecule of sunlight, none different from the entire sun. Same chemical composition. Same with the soul. The soul is absolutely pure, just like the Satchitananda transcendental form of the Lord. Completely eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. But the difference is that he is the energetic from whom all of the energy is emanating. And so he is always different from them. He's the same, but he's different. Because we are different. All those little parts and parcels that are expanding from him, they are all different from him. But he is not different from them. You know, they are the same for him. He can be any one of them at any time, just like the story of Lord Brahma stealing the calf exemplifies. You know, at any time he can become anyone, anything. You know, he can appear any time, any place, just like he does as Nrsimha. You know, what else is meant by the omniscient Lord? He is everywhere. How is he everywhere? Because everything is his energy. It's all his energy. Even the earth, the water, the fire, the air, the ether, mind, intelligence, ego. The whole universe is his energy. It is all expanded from him, and he controls his energy. Just like whatever little energy we have, you know, we control to various degrees. And, you know, just like the lemon tree is mystical because the lemon tree produces so much citric acid. So in that sense, you know, it's mystical. It produces so many lemons, you know. So, you know, it controls its energy. It puts out so many lemons based upon, you know, the power it has, based upon how much fresh air and water and the nutrition in the soil that produces lemons by the grace of the Lord. So we all have some potency, but we certainly don't have all of the potency. It's only this one Supreme Person who has all the potency. And people in the world in general, they lack that faith. You know, no one puts their faith. They talk about it, they give some lip service, but, you know, faith to the Supreme Lord, you know, is very, it's something that is more than just some rhetoric that people have learned in their religion. And, you know, and they dare not say anything different because that would be a heresy. You know, that would be, you know, people would look at them as blasphemers. But that faith, you know, has to be developed. You know, it's meant to turn into pure love of God, whereby that whole relationship with that Supreme Person becomes reestablished. We're not supposed to just walk around with blind faith all of our life and then go to our, you know, hopefully to a better body where we can progress. No, you know, we have to be more intelligent. That we have to hone our faith or make our faith strong, whereby you know, with devotional service. You know, the devotional service is the only way to actually conquer Krishna or to be able to make our faith absolutely strong. Now, we may utilize knowledge and renunciation, but they are simply part of devotional service. If we engage in devotional service, automatically there's knowledge and renunciation. Automatically our faith will gain the strength that comes from knowledge and the strength that comes from renunciation. So we don't have to practice these things separately, like there are ascetics that practice simply renunciation. And they develop some strong faith because through the power of their renunciation they can, you know, come to the point of seeing themselves as separate from this body and world. And the same with gaining knowledge, Vedic knowledge, studying Vedanta and realizing so many different mantras. One can gain knowledge of their self beyond this world. But to actually enter into our personal loving relationship with the Supreme Lord and have that audience, so to speak, in a dynamic and routine way, that can only be achieved through devotional service. Not just through knowledge, whereby I have no devotion for God, but I see knowledge is very important. And throughout our material world, knowledge is considered very important, but they study knowledge on the level of this world. There's some metaphysical knowledge, and there's certainly those that study that. But for the most part, the concentration of knowledge in our academic institutions is on knowledge of this world. And they even try to understand, where everything came from in the whole universe, in this material way. They try to understand ourselves in this material way. Try to understand consciousness in this way. They just become almost, practically speaking, you could say confused. What is the difference between the brain and the mind and the person and consciousness? So how can we figure transcendental things out studying in a material way? We have to take help from the proper teacher. That's not simply an academician whose chain of disciplic succession is an academic chain. That's not a transcendental chain. That chain's not linked with transcendence. It's linked in this world with simply smart and intelligent people with, blessed with academic brains by their previous karma. It has to be linked with transcendental personalities who, represent the absolute truth. Then even a person who has not been blessed with such a scientific brain can understand the absolute truth because of him being in proper connection. Prabhupada used to give the example of the electric plug. You simply plug the thing in to a proper plug and it works. But if you don't plug it into a proper plug, it doesn't work. So when we plug up with the disciplic succession, then we can gain, transcendental knowledge. We can gain entrance into the Lord's devotional service. It's absolutely required, this connection with the chain of disciplic succession. Otherwise, one just remains a speculator or a fruitive worker or someone with who's been blessed with just a little faith, but can't engage in devotional service because of the lack of connection. That faith therefore doesn't grow. That connection has to be there. And then from there we can expand our devotion. That's maybe not so difficult for those who are spiritually advanced due to their previous practice of devotional service. But for those of us who were simply running amok in the material world and just by, you could say maybe the will of providence, or since there isn't no chance, but just by good fortune, stumble into instead of a wolf pack, into a pack of devotees. And then get the chance or an opportunity. But for those people, I can at least witness that it becomes the most difficult thing. It's not easy to engage in devotional service and make advancement. It's extremely difficult for the conditioned soul. Therefore, the devotees have to be extremely compassionate and merciful, because it is very difficult for a conditioned soul to engage in pure devotional service and make advancement. It takes years and lifetimes for many. Not that it has to, but because of our attachments. Prabhupada used to give the example of the guy who's on one side of the river and he has to cross to meet up with his relatives and friends and all of his fortune on the other side. But he's toting along a bag of rocks, which is synonymous with his attachments. And to get across that river, he's got to let that bag go. But if he holds on to it, he can't make it. But that's how it is for the poor conditioned soul. If we hold on to our drinking habit, very difficult to make it. If we hold on to our smoking habit, it's very difficult to make it. If we hold on to our lust, it's very difficult to make it. We have to let go. And Krishna is so kind. At the beginning of our movement here in America, there was only pure devotional service, practically speaking. And devotees would compassionately give it. But if you couldn't get up early in the morning and take a cold shower and get there and chant loud enough for everybody to hear you and not try to sneak out and get any mud or anything, and then go through the whole routine and then, take a breakfast and be chased out the door to go do Sankirtan someplace, and just like the mailman, whether it be rain, snow, or heat, whatever, go door to door and help everybody become Krishna conscious, then there was no possibility and most people couldn't stay. So, with a little bit more intelligence and understanding of Prabhupada's teachings and Prabhupada himself inspiring us, we could understand that the age-old practice that, most Hindu people are familiar with, of varnashram, is like a bridge. It helps you, that a person can understand that, well, I'm this body, and therefore I have to fit into a certain ashram. I can only be a brahmachari for so long, then I have to get married and take up an occupation. And most people have some sort of natural calling. They all do, because Krishna says, I created human beings like that. So all these human bodies, they have their calling. You can't make a janitor a scientist, because they're not equipped for it. And a scientist, he may out of need take up the work of a janitor, but it's not what's going to make him happy ultimately. So by varnashram, people can take up occupations, they can take up an ashram that gives them more fortitude to be devoted to God. And then just by their practice of the thing that they have to do in life, just to survive, practically speaking, they can attain perfection, Krishna says. How though? How? And that's when the importance of brahmanas becomes more understood. They're not just scientists, they're not just academicians, not just intellectuals. There's something more than that. They are the ones that are meant to teach devotional service. They're the ones who are meant to help others to worship the Supreme Lord. If there's not a Brahmin in the temple, then how's the worship going to go on? People are going to come in, all right, so-and-so, open the curtains. Everybody bows down. We chant a little kirtan. All right, who's going to make the offering? Oh, Mother so-and-so is going to put it up there. And, then they're going to do their best. Our movement doesn't stay 1966. There's a Gaudiya Vaishnava standard that has come down from Lord Chaitanya himself through the Goswamis, for performing the worship of the Lord. And, and Brahmins are meant to help people do that. That's their ultimate job. Not that, they're just the guys that are teaching in academic institutions. Or, the person who writes beautiful poetry, or the researcher in the world. All these things can be material things. But it's the person who writes poetry about Krishna that's in line with the disciplic succession. You know, and all those persons, they know the deity is Krishna and none different. And they know that there's a absolute standard for serving and worshipping him that Krishna himself speaks about. Krishna himself teaches Uddhava the same standard of worship that we teach. Krishna teaches in the Uddhava Gita in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's Krishna himself confirming, you know, how to do puja and the importance of puja. And here we see Brahma in the very beginning. He's taking the ingredients from the Lord to arrange for sacrifice. That generally means Vedic yoga. You know, with as Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the fire. Aham Jyotir or Agniya, I am the fire. So, you know, Brahma is doing that at the very beginning of creation. So, you know, this Krishna consciousness movement is meant for helping everyone. You know, everyone needs to pitch in and help all over the world. You know, we need everyone, like Hridayananda Maharaj said. Hey, when the plumbing breaks down, you don't call some Brahmin to come and fix it. I mean, most of them may not know how to fix it. You know, unless that's, you know, something that they're teaching. You know, a Brahmin can learn to do anything because that's the type of brain they have. They're teachers, so if you're going to teach something, you have to know about it. Just like Dronacharya was a martial artist guru. He taught Arjuna martial arts. But he was a Brahmin. And Parashuram was also the son of Jamandagni, a Brahmin, but was, you know, empowered to act like a Kshatriya. Brahmins don't act like that because warfare is not their game, so to speak. You know, they may teach it, but they generally don't become involved in the politics of Kshatriyas. You know, they may act as the, you know, like Chanakya Pandit is the royal minister to the king. But Chanakya Pandit always maintained his independence, whereas Dronacharya didn't maintain his independence. He took the wealth of the Kauravas, and therefore, when they said, now you have to fight for us, he was obligated. Whereas Chanakya Pandit, if the king didn't like what he said, all right, don't bother me. He didn't need anything the king had because he continued to live in his hut in his village and never took any sort of royal compensation. So, I said, you better call, you know, a Sudra. Because, you know, they're arts and crafts people. What did the Mughals do when they took Hindu temples and turned them into mosques or tombs for their dead heroes on the war field? They would have the Hindu sculptors make the beautiful designs and then they would cut off their hands so that they couldn't do it again.
Gratitude.
Maybe not in every case, but certainly in some cases. So the point is that these are skilled people, craft people, even singers. You know, came in Sudra dynasties. You know, it was an art. They were the arts and crafts and skilled people of society. So, you know, you simply, you know, you call an electrician to put the electric together because they're well versed in it. You know, it's come down through the family, just like when we had the well break. You know, we were out there trying to do it ourselves and we messed it up. Despite all of our intelligence, you know, including, you know, Sri Raj out there. And so we called this well guy. He learned it from his daddy, and now he's teaching it to his son. And his daddy learned it from his daddy. And they were able to fix it. They've been down that road many times. So, but everyone, despite the occupation, can become perfect. How? Krishna says, by worshiping the cause of all causes, the source of everyone, the Supreme Lord. And Brahmins are especially meant to help people to do that. So the world needs Brahmins. That was Prabhupada's point. There's plenty of Sudras, plenty of Kshatriyas. You can see them fighting every day on television and the radio nowadays, trying to get rid of one of them in the White House. There's so many of everybody. But Brahmins, they've all taken up the service of Kshatriyas and making weapons for them. Making all sorts of computer programs so they can go about their business on atomic submarines or whatever. So they're all being paid off nowadays. You see them leaving. They leave for what? They'll leave the service of Ranganath and Sri Rangam, the largest temple complex in the world. For what? For money. Just like Kashyapa took the bribe from Tautaka, the snake demon, to bite Parikshit. Because if he was there, he knows the mantras to stop the poison. So he was paid off and he left the arena of the Srimad Bhagavatam discourse. And so then Tautaka at the end bites Parikshit by the arrangement of providence, So all the Brahmins, what are they doing? They're taking the wealth of all the rich Vaishyas who are running all the big corporations and who are also controlling the Kshatriyas. Because they're paying them the money to, get their weapons and run for political re-election, etc. So the world needs Brahmins who are going to teach people to worship God. Otherwise, people are just going to stay in misery. Why are they going to stay in misery? Because they don't know anything about devotional service. They're just trying to find happiness in the senses. It doesn't work. There's not happiness just gratifying my tongue, my eyes, my ears, all the various senses that we have. That's not where we get satisfaction. It may come once, twice, thrice. But day after day and year after year and growing old, that's not how we become happy. We become happy by, again, reconnecting with transcendence. Transcendence is not vague and simply some sort of pure light. But it's a person, and it's persons who are transcendental. And we just need to please them. And when we please them, then we please ourselves and we become happy. Not by ignoring them or not knowing about them or just being hung up in trying to gratify my own senses, but the way I always have learned and knew and have done, habituated to. As conditioned souls are habituated to pleasing their senses. So to just no longer put an emphasis on that, put an emphasis on pleasing Krishna, we have to take the same fervor that a mother generally has for her child. And instead of just serving that baby or child, serve Krishna. That has to be the, we take the same mentality of servitude, and instead of applying it to the material thing or person that we love, we apply it to Krishna. Not that we don't love our children or our spouses or our parents or our employees or employer, whatever it may be that we love in this world, that's all right if one is in Krishna consciousness, where one understands they all come from Krishna, and that if we don't please Krishna and set the example of pleasing Krishna and show them how to please Krishna, then how are they ever going to be happy? How are we ever going to be happy? Krishna says no one can be happy without sacrifice, and he meant sacrifice for pleasing God, not for pleasing our own self. So we have to, Krishna has to be in the center of our love. And then everything becomes perfect. Srila Prabhupada used to say, they have children and we have children. They work and we work. What's the difference? The difference is in consciousness. We're working for Krishna. Even one may be just out making money. They can be working for Krishna, like, Vedanta Krit, like Gokula, he used to do those kind of jobs, just, jobs where you make money, business people who, buy something that's at the least price they can buy it and sell it for the most. And then they would come and give all sorts of things to Krishna. Butter and paraphernalia and deity dresses and so forth. And that makes life perfect. Whatever we be, we make our life perfect by offering it to Krishna. And, Krishna very well knows that. He himself played the role of a Kshatriya, always giving charity to Brahmanas. Lord Ramachandra gave charity to Brahmanas. All Kshatriyas, should give charity to Brahmanas. They should make facility. Otherwise, how could temples be developed? We don't generally hear that some Brahmins build temples, but they generally engage someone rich to build the temple. Just like how many times you look at so many ancient temples in India, well, this was built by King so-and-so. Even after Muslims came and destroyed it, so-and-so king came and rebuilt it. Like the famous temple where they worship Surya Dev, destroyed by the Muslims and rebuilt by King so-and-so. And he didn't live there. No, Krishna was there, and the Brahmins, lived there, and they worshiped Krishna. So, Achincha Veda Veda Tattva, everything is simultaneously one and different. That's Lord Chaitanya's Siddhanta, or his very short philosophical code for his teachings. So we utilize, everything for Krishna's satisfaction. It's all his property. And that way, you make our lives perfect. Achincha, inconceivable, Veda, the same, Abheda, different. Tattva, the truth. The truth is inconceivably one and different. Everything is Krishna, but it's different. We're also part of that difference, but we're completely in harmony with the one, and we become transcendental like the one by understanding that and seeing everything is meant for Krishna's glorification. Everything, It's not that we're the supreme Ishvara, especially in this conditioned world. We may hope that everyone engages in Krishna's service, but they don't. And, we can't get, Srila Prabhupada had to, suffer that calamity also, where not everyone is inspired or engages in devotional service, but, you just push on and engage everyone to the best of your ability. And do your best to serve Krishna and really appreciate the devotional service of others. That is something that I'm always getting some sort of reprimandment about. A lack of appreciating the devotees, because it'd be one thing if it was just me, but because I'm the temple president, they all expect a little bit more appreciation, and people get. Sometimes they get sour if there isn't sufficient appreciation. So unfortunately they have to deal with me, or I guess it doesn't express enough, because I'm always getting that chastisement, you don't appreciate enough, I feel a lack of appreciation. So I apologize for that. Hare Krishna.
We still appreciate you.
Thank you.